Hello, everyone. This is Poonam Sagar at Indoindians.com. And today we are talking about inspiring people and their inspiring stories in our new series called InFocus. InFocus by Indo-Indian shines a light on people like Resham Pursani, who's on our show today, who are shaping communities in Indonesia and beyond. With a special focus on youth, business leaders, and coaches, each episode takes you into their journeys, challenges, and impact, offering authentic insights and fresh perspectives from emerging change makers to seasoned professionals. In Focus celebrates the power of individuals to spark change, connect communities, and inspire us all. And today we have Resham Pursani. Hi, Resham.
Hello.
And she's amazing. It's all about from dancing into healing, and that's what this is all about. A transformational soul coach, theta healer, and a professional dancer who has turned movement into medicine. After 8 years traveling the world as a dancer and choreographer, Resham discovered the deeper power of movement as a pathway to transformation, emotional release, and inner freedom. Today, through her initiative Choreograph Your Life, she blends neuroscience, spirituality, and somatic practices to help people rewire patterns, heal deeply, and live with more flow and fulfillment. From working with over 500 clients to leading Gurukul at the Sadhu Vaswani mission, Resham's story is a masterclass in blending art, science, and soul to shape communities and inspire change. Welcome, Resham.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the intro.
I met you many years ago, and that was the first time, and you danced in one of the segments, and it was beautiful to watch you in movement. And
Hmm.
you spent 8 years as a professional dancer and choreographer. How did that chapter shape the person you are today?
Yeah. Beautiful question. And actually, more than 8 years. It's been over 10 years now. So, really, a decade of embodied practice. And the way it shaped me, I think three things. The first thing is it helped me not shy away from hard work and discipline. I feel like when you are in any sort of art, you're doing a sport or you're advancing, you want to become the master at whatever skill you're doing, it requires discipline and hard work and being able to meet challenges with grace. And I definitely feel like that realm of work helped me with that. That's one. Secondly, I would say definitely versatility and adaptability. In this industry, things are changing very, very fast. Even like choreographer can tell you on stage, hey, the artist is changing their set. So now we need to teach you like 2 minutes of choreography and you're going on in half an hour. And
Right.
I feel like that also helped me to really perform well under pressure. So, in general, even with my work today, and Gurukul, we do big productions. Even with my coaching work, when I'm handling very difficult situations, I'm able to really separate those emotions and really meet the person or the experience very neutrally. And I think that has really helped, just being able to adapt, be flexible. And lastly, definitely is thinking about the team. So much of when you are directing a show, you're choreographing a team, and you're in charge of this performance. It's not about you, right? You are as strong as your weakest link. So definitely being able to understand people, work with all sorts, all levels of people, having patience in that process. So yeah, dance has gifted me a lot, so much.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing all about this hard work, the adaptability, resilience. But at what moment did you realize that movement could be more than art, that it could be a tool for deep emotional and mental release?
So this is a very fun story because in 2015, I was already hitting a slump in my career where I was basically, I was traveling the world. I was earning more money than most of my friends, working at corporate, working less hours, doing what I loved. And yet I felt very empty inside. And I just kept feeling like it wasn't enough, and I was like, there must be something more I can do with dance. And in 2017, I went to Bali Spirit Festival. This is a global, like globally well-known festival. It happens every year. So if you're into wellness, into yoga, music, do check it out. I even assisted there with my mentor, Dr. Jinju Dasala, once. Amazing experience in Ubud. But 2017 is when I had my first ecstatic dance experience. And in that experience, in that dance class, I discovered that, wow, I can experience these heightened bliss states without sitting still, without any substances. I felt empowered. I felt connected with everyone in that class, in that session, and I was curious to understand more. So it was really that class that opened up the or was the spark, that first spark to make me realize that wow, dance can actually lead to emotional release. It can help process very deep-rooted traumas, that many people, a lot of talk therapy today, they ask you to talk about your past, and for many people that's very re-traumatizing. That's not a convenient support system and healing modality for them. So then movement comes in a very powerful way that goes beyond your logic, goes beyond words, and then you're able to access a very deep part within, which is your true essence, just like how you see a child playing very freely, dancing very freely. And then it happened, I'm sure it happened with you. It happened with me too. I mean, I was a professional dancer, but even for me, as I became a teenager, I did not want to dance in public just for the sake of it. I did not, you know, want to sing in public for the sake of it. It took some courage. And I think for a lot of people, they just don't. It
Yeah,
stops
it
there.
is challenging to put yourself out and dance or sing in public because then
Exactly.
all eyes are on you, and it requires a deep sense of confidence in yourself and your ability to do so,
And acceptance.
and acceptance.
Right.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's also where the confidence grows from. Because if you do not accept yourself, you don't know who you are, you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, then your confidence will always sway according to your environment.
correct.
And so dance then becomes, or any sort of movement practice becomes a very powerful tool to reconnect with that authentic, pure essence, your true nature.
That's really interesting, Resham. How did you blend this passion for dance and this understanding with neuroscience, spirituality, and healing in your work today?
So they all weave in together very beautifully because transformation is a holistic thing. It doesn't work on one layer. It works on multiple layers. And so the way I do it in my work is, for the mental and emotional self, what I do is I use mindful awareness. So cultivating mindfulness through meditation practice, teaching my clients how to be mindful, how to meditate, and then using positive neuroplasticity, which is really amazing. Positive neuroplasticity basically means because we have a general negativity bias, biologically, we're wired to focus on the negative because our brains, our ancient part of the brain is trained to scan for threat and to keep us safe.
Right.
And so positive neuroplasticity is a neuroscience way of bringing and bridging in that mindfulness and meditation and using those practice to rewire the mind to take in more of the good, to be able to really receive the positive experiences instead of immediately attaching to the negative. So I use that to shift mindsets, and then of course feelings, day-to-day feelings, which then in turn nurture, your self-worth, your self-esteem. It cultivates self-power. So that's one. The second thing, your body, your physical self. Now we know through science, a lot of science, that your body is not a hunk of meat, that it is intelligent, it is complex, it's always listening. Every single cell in your body is listening to you. We have people like Gabor Mate, The Body Keeps the Score, a lot of amazing books out there that are showing that, okay, if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not connected to your body, if you cannot actually, if you don't feel home to sense things and receive life, then you get sick and you fall ill and you get diseases and you have issues in your life. And so with the body, I use somatic movement and embodiment practices to connect and bridge the gap between the mind and the body. And so
So,
the way we
Resham,
do
can I
that, yeah,
stop you for a minute and
yeah.
ask what is somatic movement? There's a whole lot of, there's a whole the social media and there's a lot of talk about somatic exercises, somatic movement. What is somatic movement?
Yeah. So soma, the word soma means organism.
Mm,
Okay. But somatics relates to your subjective experience in the body.
mm,
You're all different. We're all different. When you go out and meet the world, the way you meet the world in the morning, the way I meet the world in the morning, the way you greet and make your tea, the way I do it is completely different. And that is what it means. Well, that's what somatic means. The somatic is your experience of life, but from the lens. That's embodiment coaching. Embodiment harder to rewire and create new states of being in your life. But somatic just means body, actually, your physical body.
mm.
So, yeah, when we work with the soma, then what happens is we get to rewire and biohack your brain.
Right,
And then you release trauma and limiting beliefs, stress, but then you're doing it in a way where you're not having to go into the story, revisit all of those old things. In my work, we do both.
okay.
But
So
for
is
some
this part
clients
of
who
choreograph
cannot,
your life? Is this part of choreograph your life, or
yeah,
is
all of this is choreograph your life is huge. We have coaching, we have services for schools, I have corporate workshops, and there's content, there's a lot. But yeah, to conclude, just to complete your question, was mental, emotional self, right? The positive neuroplasticity and mindful awareness, physical self, your body, which is the somatic movement and embodiment practices, which is literally you're placing the body in different positions in order to feel different states of being. And then third is your spirit, your higher self, your soul. And the way I use that was with my soul coaching. Soul coaching is a modality that helps clients clear away any sort of mental, emotional clutter that is blocking them to hear the messages of their soul.
right?
And so that's really nice because that's where the spiritual piece comes together. Because at the end of the day, I think what's really important is in any sort of healing work, transformational work, every client needs to leave feeling more empowered to do the work on their own rather than depending on the healer or the coach, right? And soul coaching is that way because you're building that connection with your atma, with your
Right.
intuition. And
Yeah.
so you're automatically practicing getting the answers, getting the wisdom from this deep place inside of you instead of it coming from someone or something else.
Right. So, Resham, you've supported over 500 clients in just 4 years. Is there a transformation story that stands out as unforgettable?
There are many. I think every story is very special to me. But I think one that was very unforgettable and shocking because it was something that was, very different for me too is I was working with a glaucoma patient, who was suffering from vision loss and a lot of other conditions too. And after doing just one session with this client, their vision improved, their sugar levels went down, and it was amazing because, you just think, wow, 1 hour of deep energy work and chatting through things, getting to the root of the issue, it can change
Yes, this is
body. It can change illnesses that have
amazing.
been there for years and years, right? But then through that awareness and through that work that you're doing, things can change very swiftly. So that's amazing. And that just shows the power, just how much power we actually have, right?
Right. That's an amazing story indeed. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So, Resham, how can we integrate these somatic movement or breathwork practices for everyday life, for stress relief or emotional balance? What would be, can you give us some few tips?
Definitely. So I'm just going to be foundational and basic because this is actually where we're all missing things. And
Sure.
that is we're constantly revealing who we are and how we are by how we move and how we breathe. constantly. Many people forget that your breath is the foundation of who you are. And now we know that the way you breathe, it affects the way you think, it affects the way you feel. And so, very basic is number one, where are you breathing from? Checking in daily. Are you breathing shallow from your chest, or are you breathing full, deep breaths from your diaphragm, which is the place below your navel, right? And where your gut is. And most people, especially people who have very busy lifestyles, and who are generally operating uh, with stress, which is most of us, we're not breathing deeply. I do this work and I catch myself not breathing deeply. So this is like a very foundational thing that we all can start doing, even if it's just multiple times a day, placing an alarm multiple times a day, just to remind yourself, like a mindfulness minute, which is so common now, right? To just breathe. And many times when I do this, even with my teens, even with adults, many of them will tell me, wow, like I haven't, I didn't give myself this from the morning. And I'm like, that's how on autopilot we are. We're not conscious. We're not even present with our breath. So that's one with the breathing. Number two is, are you breathing in a rhythm? You know, or are you breathing very, is it like, choppy and stopping, starting, short, long? And so what helps with breathing in a rhythm is, the best way is if you listen to music. If you're someone that likes to listen to mantras, kirtan, or any sort of music, see if this is the most easiest practice you can do, and start breathing with the music
Right.
according to a rhythm. And the most ideal count is around 5 seconds. When you breathe in and out for 5 seconds, what happens is you create a state called heart coherence. When you breathe in a rhythm, your heart literally starts to emit an electromagnetic field. And this is all proven by science already, by Heart Math Institute. And when that field is emitted, all the systems in your body start working in harmony. Your hormones, your cardiovascular system, your circulatory system, all the oxygen starts going in the right spaces, because otherwise you're not having oxygen efficiency because we're not breathing properly. So this is a very simple somatic way to get into your body more, like really, really start feeling yourself. Because that's something that at least I attract in my clientele, are people who just, they're completely disconnected from feeling.
I think that's a great tip. Thank you for sharing, Resham, all about breathing, about checking your mindful minute. I think these are all, I think all of us can apply in our lives.
Yeah, very foundational, very simple, but we rarely do. But very powerful and effective when you do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you also lead Gurukul at the Sadhu Vaswani mission in Jakarta.
Mhm.
How does that spiritual service align with your coaching and healing work?
So, and I think for me, in every way, right? I think when it comes to doing this kind of work, when you're holding space for others, energy is very important. And I feel like seva is the way I get my energy. And, doing that selfless service. And I'm very attached to all my kids. I love our center. So I feel like this, doing things in the spirit of devotion, not looking at it as a job where you're getting some income, or, when you're doing seva like this on this scale with so much effort, having no expectations in return, you cannot have any expectations in return.
Right,
Constantly experiencing challenge, I feel like then what happens is you start to learn a lot about what it means to live with devotion, and do things in that energy. And I feel like that fuels me and allows me to be very grounded and rooted in that trust, in that support with higher self, with creator, for my work.
right.
So, yeah.
For someone feeling stuck in old patterns, what's the first step you'd suggest to start their healing journey?
Number one is start, and this is the most important thing, which is also very difficult, but honestly, if you just do this for 24 hours in a day, you will learn a lot. But really start to get to know the voice in your head. We all have Michael Singer calls it an inner roommate, you know, and this inner roommate is constantly commenting. It's constantly commenting on every single thing from the moment you wake up till you go to sleep. It is constantly commenting, comparing, judging, criticizing, complimenting. And the first step, if you feel stuck, okay, is really bringing into awareness, bringing into light your inner roommate and the kind of inner roommate that you have, reflecting on it, writing about it, talking about it with someone you trust, with a mentor, with a coach or healer, right? But this is the start, is awareness always, and bringing to light what is hidden in the dark, because a lot of us, we know these things, but we don't want to talk about it or we don't want to admit to it. And that is the first process of healing, any healing journey, is are you able to accept where you are
Yeah.
and understand where you are? Because only when we accept where we are can we move into what we might be.
Where we want to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
So, finally, last question, Resham. If you had to sum up your life's mission in one word, what would it be and why?
Joy, 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 joy. When I say, and when you say like mission, right, I thought about it too. But I feel like, I think in this industry, in this work, in this world right now, I think what we're missing a lot is joy, especially doing things in the spirit of joy. And joy is very different from happiness, right? Happiness is something that is fleeting. It is a moment that you experience and then it passes, or it depends on some external environment. But joy is more deeper because it allows for more other emotions to be in part. Like we can be in grief, but we can still feel joy. We can be upset or disappointed, but we can still have joy and access joy. And so, yeah, my word would be joy. We all need more joy because the world is very dark and serious. And the more we embody joy, the more others will feel brave to express that in their work, in their families, in their relationships, in their life.
Thank you, Resham. That was wonderful, very interesting, very insightful, and I think a lot of food for thought. And wishing you a very joyful day ahead. Thank you
Mm.
so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Puna.